Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Play on GAA podcast, another episode of the Club Roundup. And for this episode, I'm joined by a friend of the show, GAA Statsman, back on again. How are you keeping, Matt?
Not too bad, Séamus. How's yourself? Like, it's been a long weekend of club action. Lovely to have it.
Yeah, no, it's been a great weekend of action. We'll start with kind of the main standout results. Loughmore-Castleiney of Tipperary completing a historic double in the county. They won the football, obviously, and now they've won the hurling. They beat Thurles Sarsfields by 2-14 to 2-13. Took them 2 goals at it. Obviously, the replay was super dramatic. This game as well definitely lived up to the billing. What did you make of this final?
I actually wasn't watching it myself, but look at the reaction on Twitter. It was absolutely superb. And the fact that Loughmore-Castleiney, they won football and hurling, and they're a small little club as well. And to achieve this sort of feat with players on both sides, like there's an argument with Kilmacud Crokes, for example, that only one of them plays both hurling and football. With this Loughmore-Castleiney team, basically the whole team plays both sports. And I think this has to be applauded. The way they go in, week out, give it their all for their club. I think it's absolutely outstanding. And John McGrath, you can't speak highly enough of this guy. He gets the winning point in this final against Thurles Sarsfields. He got the winning goal in the football final last week. He has to be club player of the year in both hurling and football. I think he's been absolutely superb. You think in hurling, when he scored 4-5 against Kilmacud McDonough, he's just shooting the lights out. But in football as well, he's absolutely superb as well as that, and beating Clonakilty commercials, that was outstanding. Thurles Sarsfields, and thinking about it, they beat the two favourites in Clonakilty commercials at Thurles Sarsfields, and to do it for a dual club, I think it's a remarkable achievement for them, and they should enjoy it. But I suppose there's Munster as well, and there's the question mark which they'll go for more in Munster, the football or the hurling. In the hurling, they're playing Ballygunner. I suppose looking at Ballygunner this weekend, they look to step above. We'll talk about them later on. And in the football, Aero Guinness will probably be more realistic chance of beating those. So maybe the football, but maybe will be proved wrong again. And Loughmore-Castleiney can win the double in Munster. Wouldn't that be superb?
Yeah, that would be amazing. Obviously, you mentioned about John McGrath and, the remarkable contribution, obviously getting the winning score in both the football final and the hurling final. But remarkably, this isn't the first time that Loughmore-Castleiney have achieved this. They did this in 2013. So to come back and do it again, it really proves just how much of a golden crop this bunch is.
It definitely does, yeah. And just before you mentioned that, Séamus, I actually didn't know that. And that's an even bigger achievement for them. It's absolutely superb. And you look at the Tipperary teams in that, Clonmel Commercials, Thurles Sarsfields, Ballyea, Kilmacud McDonough, Killadangans, another one. In football, you also have Ballyperreen, Conor Sweeney's club. So there's some very good teams around. And to do the double in a competitive championship like Tipperary's in hurling and football, I think it's a brilliant achievement. And to do it twice, not just once in the last decade, that is absolutely incredible. And it just shows how remarkable this club is to come to this stage and win the double, not once but twice. I think it's absolutely superb. And the players coming out of it, the McGraths obviously were good footballers. They won the 2011 minor All-Ireland for Tipperary against Dublin. So we know they're good footballers as well. But to even prove it to this day as well, Noel as well as a decent footballer, I think it's absolutely superb. And this club, it's the story of the championship so far, the club championships all across the country. And it gives clubs, I suppose, that inspiration that it can be done. This dual meet isn't viable at all, and it can be done. Hurling and football. Like, I suppose there's a few examples in Cork, there's a few examples in Dublin. In those three counties especially, there is inspiration there, and it can be done. Hurling and football can be done, but you have to put in the effort that Loughmore-Castleiney did, and you have to have the quality which the McGraths clearly had. I think it's a superb achievement not to just do it once but twice.
Yeah, it's one of the achievements of the decade, in my opinion, in GAA. Moving on to the actual game itself, the key period for Loughmore-Castleiney was straight after halftime, because in the third quarter, they outscored Thurles Sarsfields 1-5 to a point in the 6 minutes after the break. They're the key 6 minutes in the game. That's where the game kind of changed. It was a low scoring enough game, considering the scores that both sides had racked up. Obviously, you mentioned John McGrath on his own had hit 4-5 in the previous game. One of the key moments I thought was the goal chance that Michael Cahill missed. That strike went narrowly wide. There were key moments, and they all seemed to kind of go in favour of Loughmore-Castleiney. You mentioned the importance of the McGraths. Obviously, Liam and Brian McGrath both scored crucial second half goals. But the key moments seem to go in favour of them. But it's those 6 minutes after the break, in my opinion, that proved to be the decisive ones, in my opinion.
Yeah, they definitely did. And I suppose if you're playing well, you make your own luck. And definitely Loughmore-Castleiney made their own luck there. And they absolutely deserved it because they've been outstanding throughout the two championships and they deserve everything they get. I suppose if that goal does go in from Mick Cahill, maybe the game changes. We don't know. But I suppose Loughmore-Castleiney are still deserving winners and we have to applaud them for that. And I suppose going off Thurles Sarsfields, like for a size of their club to win only one Munster title, I think, regardless of their Tipperary titles, I think that's a bit of an example of them underachieving. I don't know about you, Séamus, but I don't know, they flatter to deceive every time they get to the final over the last few years. And I think that's a worrying thing for Thurles Sarsfields, just not turning around the crucial moments in games. And Loughmore-Castleiney clearly have that in their locker. And as well as that, about the double, they lost two finals in 2020. To come back from that and to win both, not just one, I think that's absolutely superb. And as I said before, they made their own luck. They deserve their luck. They deserve to be champions. And I suppose there is question marks about Thurles Sarsfields going on in the next few years. When are they going to win another county next time?
Yeah, then there's no doubt about that because key players in that Thurles Sarsfields side, the likes of Mickey Cahill, the likes of Paddy Maher, they're not getting any younger, and there will be a transition phase coming for Thurles Sarsfields. So their chance and their golden period with this particular team, the window on that might be closing a little bit. But obviously Loughmore-Castleiney now into the next round, into the Munster Championship, and they're going to play against Ballygunner, as you mentioned. And boy, did Ballygunner look good, smashing Ballyea, the Clare champions, by 320 to 2 goals and 6 points. That's just a result that just jumps off the sheet at you. I mean, you can't ignore a performance like that to beat a Ballyea side, which were very fancied going into this game. Ballygunner, obviously, a lot has been made about them failing to win Munster titles, but God, do they look good this year.
They look absolutely superb. And again, I didn't watch this game, but I watched Ballygunner in the Waterford final and they were just flawless. They were absolutely flawless. Daisy Hutchinson was outstanding in that particular game. And I'm sure he was outstanding at the weekend as well. And Stephen O'Keefe now putting all these eggs into the basket for this team. Like, they have superb players all over the field, Ballygunner. And I think they'll be up there with Ballyhale to win the All-Ireland. They have a superb crop of players there. They've Loughmore-Castleiney next. And I suppose Ballyea, they missed Tony Kelly. That was the main aim for them, getting Tony Kelly back into the team. And once they didn't get him, the writing was really on the wall, and Ballygunner were always going to win this game. But I think it just shows, regardless of the Tony Kelly injury, how good a team Ballygunner are and how hard it is to stop this team, because they look absolutely flawless throughout the Munster Championship and throughout the Waterford Championship. Like, they were the only side, I think, out of all the Munster sides to regain their title in 2020. That just shows you they're going to keep going. They don't care what people think. They're going to keep going, win these Waterford titles, and eventually get to All-Ireland success. And this is a call now, but I think they'll win the All-Ireland. I think Ballyhale, there's a bit of flawlessness. I don't know, they lost against Bennett's Bridge in Kilkenny, whereas Ballygunner won every game. The momentum is with them. So I'd probably go with them for the All-Ireland. Munster, obviously, to win that, and then for the All-Ireland. But it's going to be a tight one between Ballygunner and Ballyhale. Looking at that performance Sunday, it was, even looking at that scoreline, it does jump off the sheet. Absolutely superb. What more can I say about this brilliant club in Waterford?
Yeah, I agree with everything that you said there. I think the huge test for Ballygunner is going to be when they come up against Kilmallock. I mean, the strength that is in that Kilmallock side. Obviously, winning the Limerick Championship, beating Patrick Swell in the final. Patrick Swell with the likes of Keane Lynch, Aaron Gallan, Diarmuid Burns. For Kilmallock to come through, obviously the likes of Graham Mulcahy in that side, that will be the huge test, in my opinion, for Ballygunner, because if they're going to win the Munster Championship, obviously Loughmore-Castleiney are in there. I'm not forgetting about them. But I think Kilmallock are going to be the huge test for Ballygunner in that regard. I think Ballygunner will beat Loughmore-Castleiney. I think Loughmore-Castleiney, while the achievement of winning the Dublin Tipperary is remarkable, I do think there's only so far that they can go with this. And I think you mentioned yourself, Ballygunner have been super focused on just this hurling championship. And you mentioned their top players, Stephen O'Keefe, Barry Coughlin, Philip Mahoney, Pádraig Mahoney, all these guys that I've just mentioned were key players for the Waterford hurling side. Now they've all stepped away from the Waterford hurling side and just put their sole focus on their club Ballygunner and finally winning huge honours with Ballygunner. So I think that is only going to do them the world of good. They're inter-county standard players putting all their attention on the club. Whereas for Loughmore-Castleiney, you have inter-county lads, but they're splitting their attention three ways almost. For the Tipperary hurlers, their club hurling and their club football. That can't be easy. So that's why I'm kind of tipping Ballygunner to win that. And then they get into play against Kilmallock in the final. That would be the key one for me to show me if they are worthy All-Ireland contenders. I mean, Ballyhale, you can never write Ballyhale off. Kilmacud Crokes look pretty good as well. We'll get on to them. But I definitely wouldn't write Ballygunner off going all the way, should they play their cards right.
Absolutely. Everything you said there, Séamus, was absolutely bang on. I think Loughmore-Castleiney, well, it has been a superb story. I think it has to come to the end of the road somehow, and I think Ballygunner will stop them. And I suppose you mentioned they'll place Kilmallock in the final. You forgot about one team, Middleton. I think Middleton could be the dark horses. Yes, Kilmallock beat Patrick Swell and they beat, was it the Piercing in Limerick, and that cannot be overlooked. But Middleton definitely have the forwards in their team to try and challenge Ballygunner or Kilmallock. I'm not saying they beat them, but they definitely have the forwards. The likes of Cormac Bosang, Conor Lehan, Luke O'Farrell, Sean O'Mara, Paul Hogney, Dylan Quirk, Sam Quirk, Tommy O'Connell. They have some very good players all over the pitch in that team. And I think Middleton will make the final in Munster, but I think Ballygunner will just have enough because, as you said, Ballygunner all over the field. They're focusing directly on the Waterford hurling. Philip Mahoney, Pádraig Mahoney, they were Waterford hurlers before. Well, Pádraig Mahoney's coming back into the team next year with Phillips retired. Desi Hutchinson, Stephen O'Keefe, Barry Coughlin, superb players, and some of them are retired and they're focusing solely on Waterford hurling, on Ballygunner hurling, and that cannot be overlooked. And I think they'll win the Munster Championship. It's going to be a tight All-Ireland between them, Ballyea, Kilmacud Crokes, Middleton, Loughmore-Castleiney or Kilmallock. There's going to be some very good teams there, and it makes to be a very interesting hurling championship. But you have to say Ballygunner are nearly the front runners to win the All-Ireland. Their team is absolutely superb, which cannot be overlooked.
Yeah, and just to bring you back to a point that you mentioned about Conor Lehan, tearing it up for Middleton. Obviously, he used to star for Cork hurling back in the day. Would you, as a Cork man, would you like to see him back in the side?
I would, yeah. I'd like most of that Middleton team in the starting line of Luke O'Farrell and Cormac Bosang are two other players. A lot of talks about Conor Lehan, and rightly so. I think he's been absolutely superb. But two guys that have scored as many from play as Lehan are Luke O'Farrell and Cormac Bosang. And the fact Cormac Bosang hasn't been talked about for Cork hurling, he's 24 years of age. He's nearing 25, he's mid-20s, and he hasn't been talked about in Cork hurling standards, and he should be, because he's an absolute superb player. He's a direct runner, as well as Lehan and as well as O'Farrell. They'll take nearly every opportunity they get. Maybe they messed up a little bit against the Glen, but that was maybe just nerves on trying to win their first county since 2013. And I think they'll give Kilmallock a real good go. And Conor Lehan, Luke O'Farrell, Cormac Bosang, they'll be up there for Cork selection. Tommy O'Connell has to get selected for centre-back, in my opinion. The Cork brothers of Dylan and Sam, Paul Hogney are definitely up there for Cork hurling selection. So this Middleton team, I think they could be a dark horse in this championship. Yes, Ballygunner, Ballyhale, Kilmallock, they're absolutely superb teams. But Middleton, what they have to the rest of the country is the unknown factor. And I think that could drive them on to bigger and better things in this championship. And when you have the likes of Conor Lehan, Luke O'Farrell, Cormac Bosang in that team, anything's possible. And I still think Ballygunner will win Munster, but don't write off Middleton yet.
Yeah, it'll be very interesting to see how it unfolds. Moving on from Munster hurling to Leinster hurling, Kilmacud Crokes, they looked very good. They cruised past Westmeath's champions Raharney by 5 goals and 19 points to 15 points. Standout players, Alex Considine, Ronan Hayes scored 2 goals. Alex Considine got a double as well, and Eddie Gibbons got a late goal too. 5 goals against another side that are county champions. Yes, they are the Westmeath champions, but can't ignore that Kilmacud Crokes looking very strong.
They are, yeah, and even I was hearing Raharney had the Doyles in their team, the famous Doyles from Westmeath, Killian be one of them, and he was superb for Westmeath, especially the league campaign last year. So I think it's an absolute superb result. No matter if they're the Westmeath champions or not, you still have to, put out your best performance. And to win the game by 19 points, that is absolutely incredible. And considering with about 5 minutes to go in that Dublin final, Kilmacud looked well out of Leinster contention, not even for Dublin contention. And to come this far, they're nearly at the final now. They have to play Clough-Ballycolla next, which will be a tough test. I'm not going to lie, but Kilmacud definitely have it in them to win a Leinster championship and to chop Ballyea. And I suppose there's some very good players in that team, the likes of Ronan Hayes, who can make a difference and drive them over the line. But yeah, it was disappointing for Raharney, but it was never going to be an easy test with the likes of the Doyles coming through, and Westmeath hurling is on the up as well. So yeah, I suppose it was never going to be easy for Kilmacud Crokes, but they made it look so easy in that game, and that shows the sign of a very good team, and they will be up thereabouts to challenge for the All-Ireland, I'm sure. They're a very good side.
Yeah, no doubt. The strength and depth that they have, the amount of Dublin hurlers in that side, obviously the likes of Fergal, Whiteley, Bill O'Carroll, Brian Sheehy, a fullback, is one that me and Luke have picked out as being inter-county standard. And speaking of Clough-Ballycolla, this to me was a little bit of a surprise. Not that they got the win because they're a very good side, but how easy they got the win against the Wexford champions Rapparees. I hope I'm saying that right. But they won by a goal and 17 to 12 points. Stephen Marr was the standout player, a goal and 9. Fantastic performance from him. Leash champions, and now they've picked off a very impressive win against the Wexford champions. So, they'll back themselves, they'll fancy themselves to pull off a bit of a shock against Crokes now.
They will, yeah. And I suppose you're talking about the surprising aspects in the Clough-Ballycolla Rapparees game. I don't know, did I find it a surprise? Like, Clough-Ballycolla have been around the block in Leinster hurling for years now, and Rapparees didn't win a Wexford title, I don't know, since what, about the early 1980s, late 1970s. So that was a long time coming. And to add to that, they had to wait, I think 5, 6, 7 weeks until their game against Clough-Ballycolla. That's wrong in all levels, in my opinion. They should have been, given a shorter period of time, because you're just waiting in the long grass. You're trying to get challenge games. Yes, Rapparees had a few footballers in their team, but mostly they'd be a hurling club. And I think it was wrong the way Leinster hurling did it, and they should have at least, I suppose Rapparees should have had shorter time to prepare for this, because the key thing is match sharpness, and I don't think Rapparees had enough of that going into this game, and that will hurt Wexford hurling in the next few years, because the Wexford hurling championship is way before the football. They do it in 2 separate time splits. So once the Leinster hurling championship comes around, the match sharpness will almost be gone. And I suppose that was a bit unfair for Rapparees that night, but then again, no excuses. Clough-Ballycolla were absolutely superb, and Stephen Plucky Mara, as I said, or Picky Mara, I forget his nickname now, but he was absolutely superb. 1-9, impressive tally, and I think they'll give Kilmacud Crokes a very good game. There's some very good League senior hurlers in that team as well. So yeah, they'll give him a right good game, but as I said, it was unfortunate the way Leinster hurling organised this fixture, and Rapparees just didn't have that match sharpness after all.
Yeah, it's a very good point that you make about lacking the match sharpness. All right, so moving on from that, then moving on to the Cork Football Final. Now, Matt, you were at this game, and yeah, what a dramatic finish. Stephen Sherlock saying it's every boy's dream to kick a winning point in the county final, and he lived out that dream, kicking the winner. St. Finbarr's beat Clonakilty in the Cork Football Final by 14 points to 13. Sherlock himself, he's been the scoring sensation of the championship in Cork this year. You're at this game, obviously, yourself, as I've mentioned. The atmosphere looked incredible. How was it? What did you make of the game?
I thought it was a very good game, and it shed light on Cork football. Like, I see an article on the Irish Daily Mail or Irish Mail and Sunday rather, before the game, and there was a lot of pressure on this game because it happened to be the only football game of the weekend. And considering the Kerry semi-final was tragic to watch, the Mayo and Dublin finals weren't great either. The Donegal final wasn't great. I suppose Tyrone, Galway, probably the only two exceptions, maybe. So there was a lot of pressure on this final, and I think it delivered. I thought there were superb performances all over the field. It might not have been perfect at times. There was a few mistakes, but still both sides played absolutely superb. And you couldn't say there was a bad player in that field on Sunday. I suppose Stephen Sherlock, he scored 342 in the Cork Championship, and people are just praying, please, we can just put him on the team now. He's proven his point. He's going to do bits for this Cork team. He was absolutely superb again, mostly the second half. I thought on that Mail on Sunday article about Cork football, if any of you read that, it included bits from Paddy Cassan and Hawley O'Sullivan, who was on my podcast, about getting the balance right between defence and attack. You saw that in action at the Cork Football Final the other day. Stephen Sherlock scoring 7 points, despite the fact Thomas Clancy, the fullback, had him on tenterhooks for the whole game nearly. He only scored 3 points for play, Sherlock, and one towards the end when he finally got away from Clancy. And I thought that was absolutely brilliant to see. And there was brilliant performances all over the field for both sides. Sam Ryan, Ian Maguire and Brian Hayes, if they come into the Cork team next season, I'd be very, very excited looking at that midfield. The likes of Brian Hart and Douglas coming into that midfield as well. I'd be absolutely over the moon if that happens. You look at Keelan Myers-Burry, he came on as a super sub, scored a point as well. Dennis O'Brien got 2 points. So there was good performance for the Bars, but honestly, yes, the Bars, I think, will challenge for the All-Ireland. I think they'll probably will. They have a very good chance of winning Munster, but Hearts have to go out to Clonakilty. I honestly think they deserve the replay. I thought they were absolutely superb. And the fact it was their first final since 2009, the first time it was in their, they were in the last 4 since 2010, 11 years. Like, this team has given their fans so much over the last few years, and their players like Maurice Shanley, David Lowney, Tom Clancy, Joe Grimes, Darragh O'Shea. I'm trying to think because there were so many good performances from the Clan team. Ross Mannix as well, Mark White. And you have to feel for Mark White towards the end as well, kicking that. He was honestly going for a point or dropping in short, but it just agonisingly ended wide, and the final whistle blew and the Bars won it. But honestly, you have to feel for Clonakilty. They were absolutely superb at the end. To reach their first last 4 appearance since 2010, 11 years, as I've said. It's a superb achievement. And the fact is, this Clonakilty team, their oldest player is Clancy, 29 years of age. Their next oldest player is around 26, 27. I think it's Garrow Barry. Like, when you look at that team, Dan Peat, their cornerback's 19. Conor Daly, who came on, was 18. There's a few of them 18, 19 years of age. A lot of their players are under 25. So there's a very good crop of young players in Clonakilty, and I'd be very confident they could win a county in the next few years. But honestly, it was the Barrows' day. They go on to the Munster Championship now to play Aero Guinness or Loughmore-Castleiney in the semi-finals. And best of luck to them. I think they'll win Munster personally. But honestly, Hearts go to Clonakilty. They've been absolutely superb throughout the championship, but they should be very proud of their efforts this season.
Yeah, 100%. And it was a good point you made about the age profile of this team. Like, I think when you look at the age profile, I think, they should win a Cork championship over the next 5 to 10 years with the age profile that they have. I think the huge test for St. Finbarr's will be Austin Stacks of Kerry, because Stacks have kind of proven that they seem to drag every team that they play against into a battle that is on Austin Stacks' terms. I mean, you look back at the Donegal side of 2012, we kind of spoke about them off air for a few minutes. The key strength of that Donegal side, which I see as similar to this Austin Stacks team, is that they make teams play their game. And I feel like if Finbarrs get dragged into a dirty, low-scoring, tough game, I think that will be the true test to show me whether they are All-Ireland contenders.
the argument I go back to with is Clonakilty have been defensively structured throughout the championship, and that was the test for the Bars, and they passed it. Like, they were frustrated at times. They didn't score until I think the 11th minute, which in many ways was signaled it was a bad game, but it was a tactical game in the first few minutes. Clonakilty nearly had them on the ropes. They were defensively structured. They knew what their jobs were, and they frustrated the Bars. And I think that was the acid test to try and get over Austin Sachs. But the argument back to with Austin Sachs, like, attack-wise, they are terrible, in my opinion. They're not great at all. Like, Brendan's were an okay team. I actually think Kieran's O'Reilly's will beat them next Sunday. So I think, honestly, the Bars won't play them. I think Kieran's O'Reilly's will be the main test for them, and maybe Aero Guinness as well. But I think Clonakilty, usually in their games, they play defensive football. Like, the Bars of Clonakilty actually faced in the group stage, and it was 112 to 1-5. It was a very scrappy game. Clon held them for large periods of that game defensively, and they did it against Duhallow in the quarterfinals as well. They frustrated them throughout the game, and eventually they pounced in the last few minutes with the attacking talents they have in that department. So I thought Clonakilty would have played a defensive game. They were defensively structured. I think Clon played a defensive structure that was actually exciting, whereas Austin Sachs played a defensive structure which is boring on the eye, and it's absolutely septic to watch, in my opinion. But look, Austin Sachs will be a tough test that way, but I just don't think they have the quality that the Bars possess. The likes of Stephen Sherlock, Ian Maguire, Brian Hayes, Sam Ryan in the full back line, John Kearns, the goalkeeper, who I thought, other than one kick out in particular against Clon, was superb. So I think the Bars would actually beat Austin Sachs, in my opinion. I think Aero Guinness or Kearns O'Reilly's, I think, would be a bigger test to the Bars than Austin Sachs would.
Yeah, it'll be definitely interesting to see which of those sides come through. And I'm tipping Finbarrs as my favourites to go on and win the Munster Championship. But I think whoever comes out of the Kerry Championship will be their biggest test. Right now, I'm tipping Austin Stacks just because they seem to win all the time when no one really expects them to do it, and they are defending champions. But I think it'll be interesting to see how it unfolds. But yeah, I'll be interested to see. So that's the episode of the Club Roundup, the Play on GA podcast, episode number 6 of the Club Roundup. Matt, thanks for coming on today.
No problem, Séamus. Happy to help out.
All right, guys, that's the end of this episode. We hope you enjoyed. Until the next episode, take care.